Hey, what's up you guys, and welcome to the Prime Vanguard channel. Today I'm going to be featuring to you one of my favorite decks from the newest set of Clan Selection Plus Volume 1 is my Sephilath-aider Shin Malkuth-melekh deck profile. Now this deck profile is introduced in the newest set and it's an upgrade or support for Arch-aiderMalkuth-melekh all the way back from the Astral Force set. I have to tell you guys, I've been having so much fun with this deck, and another personal note is that out of all the Angel Feather units that have ever come from Vanguard, all the way back from Limit Break till now, Malkuth-melekh is just one of my favorite units. I love the artwork of the original Malkuth-melekh. I like the unique effect, I like its mechanics, and all the support that focused around it. I really do feel as though Protect 2 was a marker that, at least during the V era, was very underutilized because there wasn't much support around playing the Protect marker, which means that people didn't have a reason to, and all the other decks are just so strong that going Protect 1 didn't really feel like it was the move. But thanks to Malkuth-melekh and the playstyle of this deck and all the units that I've introduced to it, you really do get to capitalize off of playing Protect 2 and utilizing that marker to its full force. And I think that's something that's really interesting, and that gives this deck a unique playstyle of its own, as now your Angel Feather deck can play very fast and aggressively while still maintaining all of its defensive capabilities as well. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hop right into this deck profile. So to get this deck profile started, I play 4 copies of Sephilath-aider Shin Malkuth-melekh. Now Sephilath-aider Shin Malkuth-melekh was the newest unit introduced in Clan Selection, so if you guys do not know what it does, it has 3 effects. Its first effect is, when revealed by a damage tech, if you have a Vanguard Malkuth-melekh in its name, you discard a card from your hand, you superior by this unit. Then it has 2 other Vanguard abilities that are continuous, which was, during your turn, if you have 2 or more Protect 2 markers in play, all of your units in the front row get 10,000 power, and then its second ability states that all of your units on the rearguard circle with a Protect marker cannot be retired by any player's card effects. That effect was a bit of a mouthful, but this unit is just amazing. It finally gave Malkuth-melekh the speed that this deck never had. In essence, what this card does is, it speeds up Malkuth-melekh and lets you capitalize off of generating multiple Protect 2 markers a turn. Now that's something that this deck did not have before, but needed, as some of the best Protect 2 units that Angel Feather had, such as Amputation Angel and Zayin Angel, were units that capitalized best off of having multiple Protect 2 markers, as one gained a Sentinel Restrict ability and the other one gained a Defensive Plus ability, because you were able to use the Protect 2 markers and be able to stop against strong attacks. Now in this deck, some of those units will be in here and some of those units will not, but you'll just have to keep watching to find out who. I just think that this card is really amazing at the fact that it did everything that we needed the deck to do. And I really do like the fact that it works strictly for Malkuth-melekh, and while that might be kind of selfish of me, I like that because I'm tired of seeing Gavrael. I'm tired of seeing more Gavrael support, Gavrael winning everything. Gavrael, she's a lovely card. What she does is very amazing and it's a very explosive deck, but us Malkuth-melekh players who have been struggling for the last few months on playing our deck to the best of the abilities with all the new Angel Feather support, we finally have something of our own, and we can play it. We finally have something of our own, and now we get a chance to play against and control the meta. And Sephilath-aider is the way to do this. For my next grade 3, we play 4 copies of Arch-aiderMalkuth-melekh. Now in order for this deck to fully capitalize off of the newest grade 3, which is Shin Malkuth-melekh, we have to play the OG Malkuth-melekh. The OG Malkuth-melekh is still very strong. Its Counterblast 2 ability to give your opponent a damage or to heal a damage on its own when you ride it is still very powerful, as you can control the damage gain of your opponent and the damage gain of yourself, so that you can lead into its next ability, which allows you to Soul Blast 1 and call up to 3 units from your drop zone and get 5k power to those 3 units. So now we have access to our damage zone, our drop zone, and control of our deck with some of the newer units introduced to us for Angel Feather support from Clan Selection Volume 1 and Divine Lighting Radiance. Malkuth-melekh just has it all, and it can take full resource of everywhere that it goes. And the main playstyle of this deck is going to be us riding into this Malkuth-melekh, using its ability to either heal out our Malkuth-melekh in the damage zone, or maybe if we had one before in the soul, and combine with some other units, heal out, go into the new Malkuth-Melekh, and you'll have 2 protect markers during that turn. And because of these newer units in the deck, we can recycle this play continuously as long as we have them in place and the resources to do it. And with the other cards that we have in the deck, this is a very easy thing to do. And we need this card to be the start to that grade 3 rush play. For my last grade 3, I play 2 copies of Mobile Hospital Feather Palace. Now, Mobile Hospital Feather Palace is a card that's been in and out of the Angel Feather meta for a while, so I'll go ahead and explain what it does. He's got one ability that activates on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, and it is, when it attacks, you Soul Blast 2 grade 3s, you place all the cards in your damage zone face down, and this unit will get 20,000 power plus 1 critical, and your opponent cannot call Sentinels from their hand to the Guardian Circle. This unit is ideally the main finisher for the deck, and getting the Soul Blast 2 grade 3s is very simple, as this Angel Feather deck now has a superior writing engine, which means that we have no problem getting to those grade 3s probably on turn 4, as it's a little bit harder to do on the first Malkuth-Melekh turn, and if you did want to do that, you have to expel a lot of resources to do that. But because we're Angel Feather and we have Protect 2 and we generate multiple of those a turn, we have no problem playing the defensive way and just setting up our board to introduce this card to kill our opponent. Now for my grade 2s. For my first grade 2, I play 2 copies of Roid Zayin. Roid Zayin is one of the grade 2s introduced in Astral Force. It's a bit of an older grade 2 and it's been in and out of the Angel Feather meta as well, but I'll go ahead and explain its ability. He's got 2 abilities, and his first one is on the Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, which is, during your turn, if a new card was put into your opponent's damage zone, he gains an additional 10,000 power. He then has a second ability, which is, on the Rearguard Circle, when it attacks a Vanguard, you choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and you may put that unit into the damage zone, and your opponent chooses a card from their damage zone and heals it. At the end of that battle, retire this unit. So this unit gets 10,000 power off the rip for doing something that its own skill sets up for, which is pretty good considering the fact that we do play a lot of Protect 2s. So this unit on a Protect 2 with its ability will become 24k on its own, and then with a booster it can reach magical numbers against Protect and Excel decks. Then its other ability allows us to get some board control in a unique way. Being able to remove a unit off the board and not put it either in the deck or the damage zone is actually very powerful, as it's another way of permanently getting rid of a unit in your opponent's board. And although you are essentially giving your opponent a counter charge with this deck, it doesn't really matter that much, especially because we just know how to control and play our cards, so I'm not really too bothered by that, and the additional power that we want from this unit is really good as it assists with our offense. Moving on to my next grade 2, I am playing 2 copies of Amputation Angel. Now, Amputation Angel is one of the older cards from Astral Force, and she also is Protect 2 based and has 2 effects. Both of her effects activate on Rearguard, and her first one states that if you have a Protect marker in the same column as this unit, she gets 15,000 power continuously. She then has the second ability of, during the battle it attacked, if you have 3 or more Protect markers on your circles, your opponent cannot call Sentinels from their hand to the Guardian Circle. So before an old Malkuth-Melekh, this unit was actually very hard to play with, as we didn't have a way other than the Nociel engine of Malkuth-Melekh of getting those Protect markers very fast. So she kind of became a dead unit in the deck. But now, because we have our own consistent superior ride engine, this ability is very feasible and easy to do. Since she gets 15,000 power on her own continuously as long as you have a Protect marker in her column, it's very important to note because this effect does activate on your opponent's turn. So if your opponent's thinking about hitting her to damage deny you, well, good luck, because she's going to be a 29k base unit on your opponent's turn. The 3 Protect 2 markers, as I was saying before, is now very easy to reach, which means that she just becomes another unit that you can rely on Sentinel Restrict with, such as our grade 3 Feather Palace, meaning you have another finisher in the deck that stacks a lot of power. There's so much power stacking in this deck, and there's so much Sentinel Restrict that our opponent has to guard our attacks very awkwardly in order for them to actually have a chance of standing against our offense, as we essentially remove one of their best defensive options in the game with this deck. We have Lamedo, we have Amputation, we've got Feather Palace, we have 3 forms of Sentinel Restrict in our deck. And since they're all active on different grade, we ideally do set up a board for our kill turn where all 3 attacks you can't rely on a perfect guard to save you. And because a lot of the decks are becoming a lot more aggressive and offensive, I'm seeing a wave of introductions of the 30k Sentinels, which means that they're probably playing a more aggressive strategy, meaning they don't have a lot of cards in their hand, and the 30k Sentinel is now something they no longer can rely on to protect them. And other protect decks in the meta right now, such as Night Rose, Ghosty, and Gavrael, cannot rely on their protect markers to save them either. And even though those decks can consistently get back their perfect guards, they just can't rely on them to save them from this deck. And that is just the beauty of Malkuth-Melekh. You are saying no to your opponent's best defensive options in this game. But I also play this card because I like it too, and that's another reason why I decided to play her. I know that some people are on the fence about her, but I'm playing her because it just makes sense to have her in the deck since we generate so much Protect 2 markers. For my next grade 2, I play 3 copies of Black Aculeus Japhkiel. Black Aculeus Japhkiel is still the best Angel Feather support unit that we have. She's got the ability to counterblast 1 on play, swap a card from your damage zone, and then deal yourself a damage. This works universally well throughout all Angel Feather decks. We can either damage check one of our triggers to get a plus and get back one of our cards, and just keep our engine going. I think that this card is a staple for all Angel Feather decks, but she's not as important in this deck, so I'm going to go ahead and just play her at 3. For my last grade 2, I'm playing 4 copies of Holy Roid Angel. Holy Roid Angel is another grade 2 that was introduced to us through Clan Selection Volume 1, and he has the following effect. On Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, when placed, you look at 7 cards from the top of your deck and reveal it to 1 card with Malkuth-Melekh in its card name. From among them, you put that unit into your hand, then you shuffle your deck. You reveal it to 1 normal unit from your hand and you put it on the top of the deck, and this ability is once per turn. So essentially what this card does is this card allows us to check top 7, get whatever Malkuth-Melekh we need, and then stack it on top, and then do our shenanigans. This skill is very important, and it's the reason why we're not playing the grade 1 unit that searches out for grade 3s, because we can just go into this on grade 2 and we can just go through our deck a lot faster to get our pieces. And since it stacks a card on the top of the deck, you're just guaranteeing yourself to set up for your next Malkuth-Melekh turn, or you're just guaranteeing yourself to find your next grade 3, because 7 cards from your deck after you get your first hand and just going through your damage and drive checks from your first battle is a lot of cards you've already been through in the deck, in my opinion. So this card is just a really consistent searcher, and the fact that it works on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle means that we can even ride into Japhkiel, get this card back, and go through our deck even more to search out our Malkuth-Meleks. This unit is just a key piece in setting up to our superior ride play, so it sets up a lot of combos, and I just feel as though playing 4 this is the best route to go for this deck. So that was it for the grade 2s. I'm going to go ahead and introduce some of my grade 1s now, and the first grade 1 that I'm going to showcase to you guys is 2 copies of Roid Lamedo. As I stated earlier on my Amputation Angel explanation, this is another unit in our deck that introduces Sentinel Restrict, and the 5k power it gets is something that we can combine with Zayin to make sure that we get the additional 5k power. And the fact that this is just another easy Sentinel Restrict unit means that we now have another Sentinel Restrict unit in our deck that can work whenever we need it to, because Lamedo's ability activates when you counterblast 1 and you already have a grade 3 in Soul and you gain the Sentinel Restrict, and then it retires. We don't play any of the back row Angel Feather support that pluses off of the Protect 2, so sorry Sector Angel, you won't be making a showcase in this deck profile. I'm just going to let you guys know now. But if we wanted to, because we wanted to make sure our Malkuth-Melekh got some of the love, and we decided to throw a Protect 2 in the back marker for whatever reason, we can go ahead and stack this guy up to 18k power, and now our center column, usually 9 times out of 10, becomes a threatening one, because Lamedo and Feather Palace, you have to do this first, then Feather Palace, because Feather Palace will get rid of all the grade 3s in your Soul. But this card essentially just makes our Vanguard attack threatening because of the way our triggers are set up in the deck, and how fast we already move through the deck now. So Lamedo just makes our Vanguard attack actually something to consider when our opponent's at 3 to 4 damage before we go into our Amputation Angel or before we go into our Feather Palace. I play 2 copies of Multi-Medical Angel. So Multi-Medical Angel is an older Angel Feather unit. I mainly just play this unit as a way of getting more of our resources, as we do have a way of introducing new cards into our damage zone. We have Malkuth-Melekh, we've got Japhkiel, we have another grade 1 I'm going to showcase to you guys who helps us go through our deck faster and performs the skill easier, and it's another resource management unit. So this card just lets us draw more cards and filter out for the pieces that we need. For my next grade 1, I play 4 copies of Scaling Angel. So Scaling Angel, in my opinion, is a unit that can be whatever you want. I'm mainly just playing this card because in Malkuth-Melekh we do have some soul blasting abilities, and we don't generate as much soul as we used to, or that we could, as that's not mainly the focus of this deck. So Scaling Angel is another resource management card, and it's a good Vanguard first ride as well, as you get to drop and draw and go through your deck faster, because that's what we want to do to look for our key pieces. But its rearguard ability to fetch a unit from our damage zone and put one in there and then add a card to our soul is helpful, as we now don't have to worry about soul blasting our grade 3s to activate some of our lesser skills. That's currently why I'm playing it. If you want to play Black Colonic here, if you want to play Sectio Angel, or if you want to play Healthful Intendant, you can go ahead and do that. But I'm just playing Scaling Angel because I want Malkuth-Melekh to have the best resource management that it possibly can. And finally, for my last grade 1, I'm playing 4 copies of Persistence Angel. Now, Persistence Angel was a new grade 1 that was introduced to us during clan selection. Persistence Angel has the following effect, which is act on rearguard circle. Once per turn, you may Soul Blast 1. You draw a card and discard a card from your hand, and choose up to 1 card with Malkuth-Melekh in its card name from your drop zone and place it on the top of your deck. So this card is a very simple effect. It's a drop and draw, and then you want to stack the Malkuth-Melekh on top. The very simple thing to do is obviously take the grade 3 Sephilath, discard it, draw a new card and stack it on top, and use your Malkuth-Melekh's ability to deal yourself a damage when you superior call back to the board. And that's the very most simplistic combo that this deck can do, as it's the fastest way to get to the double grade 3s. This card's a very key piece in your entire strategy. You must play for this, as it's one of the easiest skills you can use to generate more resources, and one of the easiest skills you can use to, like I said, set up for your grade 3 superior ride turn. It adds so much consistency into the deck that you need to max this card out. You have to play for this. It makes Malkuth-Melekh work, and without this card, I don't think that even the Holy Road Angel in the grade 2 would have been, the Holy Road Angel and the grade 3 would have been enough to be good enough on its own. But Persistence Angel just adds more value to the deck and makes it faster. Moving on to my triggers, I play 4 copies of Hotshot Celestial Samyaza. I play 4 copies of Critical Hit Angel. I play 4 copies of Battle Cupid Nociel. I play 4 copies of Sunny Smile Angel. And then my grade 0 starter is Roid Resh. Alright you guys, so here's my grade 0 starter and trigger lineup. Now my grade 0 starter and trigger lineup is very simple, as this entire deck needs a little bit of everything. I don't feel as though it has all the pieces to go completely 12 crit and insane like Gavrael, and I don't feel as though you need to play a very slow defensive game like I used to before with the additional draw triggers to search out our pieces. We max out 4 of our most consistency cards already, and even though we're not playing more Japhkiels and Nociels and the Nociel engine in this deck to search out our grade 3s and grade 1s to grade 2s for all the pieces that we want and to mill out our perfect guards from the damage zone, we are very consistent already. Like, clan selection really did help Malkuth-Melekh out a lot, specifically him. And with cards like Perseverance, Holy Road, and Sephilath, we can just do so much. And right now, this is the trigger lineup that I decided on. I want to see crits because I play a lot of Sentinel restriction abilities, which means that more criticals make my attacks more lethal and more scary. But having 4 of her to draw into our pieces that we may need later in the game and just nullify against some of the really strong attacks we're going to be facing against is helpful. Alright you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about my favorite marker to play for this deck. Now if it isn't obvious, I really do think that Protect 2 is the best marker to go for this deck, as Sephilath-aider Malkuth-Melekh's ability is directly linked to this card, and going Protect 1 means that you essentially are shutting off 2 of this card's abilities, and you're just using this card to generate more Protect 1s, which doesn't really, it doesn't do anything in that case, and that becomes a problem because if that's your goal to go, if you need to go protect 1, and if you're in a situation where you feel like that's necessary, then you have to pretty much like change your entire strategy to do it, and it's just not worth it. Protect 1 is not worth it for this deck. Protect 2 is the best way to go because you plus so much off Protect 2, your defense gets so stepped up. Alright you guys, that is it for this deck profile. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to hit the thumbs up button down below. It really does help the channel grow. Also, do not forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you guys get notified when I drop out all these new deck profiles for clan selection. If your friend is thinking about building a Malkuth-Melekh deck, then go ahead and share this video with them as well. Again, all of my decks are templates for you. All these cards are just based off my own playtesting experience and some research. But again, that is just mainly how I feel about this deck and the way I set it to be played. Let me know how you guys feel about this deck in the comment section below. Are there anything that you guys want me to try? Is there anything that you guys want me to test out? Are there some new cards I should be looking out for? Some other matchups I should be worried about? I really want to know what you guys are thinking. So that is all for today's video, guys. Peace.